have here a document. It is a white paper on education put together under the Honorable Sam Kondo. But before that, I'm going to tell you a little story. And bear with me. Because all of us have a story. And it is not just that my story is unique or different, but it is my story. And it is part of who I am and why I'm so passionate about education. And so I'm just going to tell you a little about it. I was born in a house about half the size of this stage. It was a time when you slept on the bed when you came from hospital and when you were sick. Otherwise, you were turned head to foot on the floor. And quite often you will feel something on your head, somebody will say, oh, take your foot out of my head. That's the kind of place I was born in. But I had a mother, she barely could read and write, but she wanted something better for her children. My father would go weekends to George Street and he'd drink and he'd come back and he'd hang his pants up. And she'd go and she'd take whatever money was left out of the pants and she would hide it. And sometimes he would remember and he would say, I had some money. And she said, you mean you're so drunk you don't know where you put your money? And when she would get enough, because we have to use wisdom, she would take it and she opened an account. She used that to help many people in the neighborhood. But she also used it when they opened up secondary education to ordinary folk like you and me. She used it to pay for my eldest brother to do the exams, and he went to high school. So of course now my father is proud, and man, his son going to high school. And she didn't mind. She orchestrated it. But we women, we know we're the head, but we're the neck, so we don't mind it being the neck, turn the head. And so then he felt good and he made sure that all of us went to high school. And so I'm very passionate about education because it's education that took us out of poverty in Newtown. In 2004, after my husband had started the UNA party and we had run and lost, but it was an important experience, they asked me to do the speech for the Excellence Awards dinner. That is an awards dinner held by the Cable and Wireless, then Cable and Wireless at the time, and the Chamber of Commerce, where they celebrate all those people who did very well in the exam. And something said to me, why are we looking to celebrate these people? There are others on the road who get 1 and 2 and nothing, and we must look to do something about this problem. So I went to the education unit to find out the statistics, and they gave me a runaround and I didn't get it. I said to the fellow eventually, don't give me anything that you wouldn't give some foreigner or something sending for information, something that is public, and he agreed. I went to Bermuda. When I came back the day before the dinner, and when I went to him, he gave me even more trouble than when I left. And so I didn't get the statistics. A few days later, I found out that in my absence, there had been a cabinet reshuffle, and the Honorable Sam Kondo was named Minister of Education. And I learned that at a town hall meeting or some event, he had said that when we say we have 80% passes, it's 80% of 50%, because 50% of the people who enter first form drop out by fourth form. I was shocked and amazed, because I had said to myself, something had to be wrong, because we're getting 80% passes. That means either people on the road who don't have subjects, or somebody is lying. And he was honest enough to come out, and my respect for him went sky high, because he was honest enough to say that we had a problem. That was in November. When the budget came out in January, the Prime Minister in his budget still insisted on 80% passes and 98% literacy. Many of the nurses had told me some of the children coming to can't really read. And yet we were boasting on these percentages, which were obviously not true. The Honorable Sam Kondo was Minister of Education from 2004 to 2009. And I want to read some excerpts from a white paper that when he got there, he and the rest of his staff put together for education in this country. The first excerpt I'm going to read is, education is recognized by all citizens as being central to national development. I'll read that again. Education is recognized by all citizens as being central to national development. They went on to say, 10 guidelines and principles for positive and effective leadership in education. The first one was prayer. The end of all learning is to know and acknowledge a superior being and to love and to imitate him. The second was vision. Where there is no vision, the people perish, and action without vision is a nightmare. Listen. Learning to listen attentively and constructively is as important as learning to speak. I'll hurry on. Understanding. Show due care about the needs of everyone. Honesty. Deal with everyone fairly. No double standards. Deal with everyone fairly. No double standards. Transparency. Always operate in an open manner, not covertly, mean no underhand business. We all need to know what is going on. Trust. One should not be suspicious or insecure. Don't second guess. Accountability. All of us are accountable to each other, so we must all hold ourselves accountable for our actions and decisions. Accessibility. Be available, approachable, and responsible. Gracious. Judge people by their best moments and qualities and their capacity and potential to be the best human beings they can be. Each generation is admonished to get people and get our children to be the best human beings they can be. I'll read one more excerpt and then I will tell you a story. The next came from a section to do with parental education. It says here, the perceived reasons for the unfortunate trend arguably includes any or all of the following contributors. The proliferation of guns, the negative influence of cable television, the reduced impact of the church, vastly improved communications, more leisure time, perceived inadequacies in the school curriculum, offerings leading to school dropout, too much leisure time, peer pressure, increased consumerism, political tribalism, and an overwhelmed police force. He's saying too much TV, too much guns, too much tribalism, poor parenting, and I said, look at these things. These people see the issues clearly and have decided to come together to put a plan from 2009 to 2019 to address the issues of the country. Why then is this man not leading the charge in education? Now I'm going to tell you another story. In December, a young lady, a young mother said to me that there was a problem in the schools with spores, fungus in the schools. When she told me about it, I consulted a few persons in health. I was assured that the problem was examined by Dr. Whitaker, and it was just a problem of dust by one. Another one told me that You know, they had some chemical thing at some time, but it no longer existed. What they were saying, so I felt good. I said, okay, it's no problem. So I went back to the young lady. She said, nothing tall, go so. And she said, Dr. Whitaker did not say what they are saying. He said that there was no problem, or the problem was in the head. Because the answer that they had given, the government's position, was that all those people, those children and teachers who said they were getting sick, were just sick in the head. It was all psychological. So the young lady decided that she will send a mass for her child and for the children in her class. And the teachers were galvanized and they started to agitate. After 2 years of writing, they started to agitate. They called me one day. They had the career report came. Some people had come from Trinidad. And they called me one day and they said they want me to sit on this panel. Because when the report came, they were told they can't understand the report. So the panel sat and I said, you know, they're going to say, they're not going to want me on it. They're going to say a bias. They said, we want you because you're going to tell us the truth. So we went to the panel. And when we went to the panel, fortunately, there was another doctor there, lady from India, I think she was, had 2 children who had both gotten sick. One with some skin problems, and the other had had a partial lung collapse. By that time, the doo-doo had hit the fan, and so they could no longer say there was not a problem. And so we eventually came out and said, yes, there is a problem that needs to be dealt with, that the western campus must be closed. And the eastern campus, we said, we must examine it first, do tests, and make sure that the children, it is safe for the children to go in. On the Saturday, several things happened. When we looked at the report, 3 labs on the western campus had spore counts which were extremely high. One room where nobody there had symptoms, the count was relatively good. The minister, the now Minister of Education, Sam has gone, says to the people that the spore count outdoors is okay, and in a representative sample of classrooms, 1 classroom, mark you, the spore count is all right. So it is safe for your children to go. Ignoring the fact that all those other classrooms, the count was very high, and all those other labs. The Saturday, my brother and I went to the school. And when we went, you know what the plumbers told us? One plumber said, I will not go in that toilet. I would rather go over a borehole. Another plumber said, I would rather go in a cane field. They said they had said this to the minister. I asked, how long would it take to get it fit for the children to go? They said at least 3 weeks. But the minister had told them, get it ready for the next week. And so they were hurrying up and doing patch job. That is what they were having in store for your children. A gentleman told me, come and let me show you something. And when I went and looked in that classroom, I could not believe I was not in Haiti or in Africa. I could not believe I was in a school in St. Kitts. The state of the classroom. We took some pictures, and 2 parents told me they cried when they see what the school was like. When I went to that meeting, I was outraged, and they called me, they asked me to pray. And I could not even pray, I was so upset. I said, you want those people, children, to go back in that place knowing what the man told you? So one of the officers was saying, no, but he didn't tell the minister that. He didn't tell the minister that. I said, yes, he told him, and the minister didn't deny it. He stood there and he said, so what we going to do? So what we going to do? When we went inside, and she begged me not to tell the people. And I looked and I said, with that mob, maybe I better not say everything. But I just said to them, don't let your children go back in there under 3 weeks. Within a few days, that I went to the land debate. By the time I got home, the said minister had been saying that it was okay for the children to go back to school 3 days. It was okay, and that the committee had said it, agreed it was okay. The committee had never met. So I said to you, we have a choice here. It is a painful choice, but it's a choice we must make. Who do you want to lead your children education for the next 10 years? A man, and you know what is hurtful? This is the face of the Labour Party we all know and love. This is supposed to be the new face, the new generation of a Denzel Douglas-led administration. You know what that says? It says that they don't care about you. It is their agenda and their agenda alone. When in the face of all that, and the Prime Minister, yes, he was not elected to be a doctor, but he is a doctor, never visited that school once, and visited Dubai several times. It has to be painful. 5 minutes and $5 gas away, compared to thousands of miles and thousands of dollars away. It's time to say, if you care more about Dubai than you care more about the children in BHS, darling, Dudu, bye-bye. Dudu, bye-bye. If you prefer Dubai, Dudu, bye-bye. But what do? They sit down and they say, they are going back in the house for a motion of no confidence. Not for a motion of no confidence, sorry. They're going to ignore it. They're big and bad. And they're going to get all it. Because they don't care about you. It's about them. And let me say to those who right now who would stand by and say it's okay to say you can't march, who say it's okay to lock you up, it's okay to deny you your rights. I'll say like a preacher in the days of Hitler. They came for the trade unionists and I was silent because I was not a trade unionist. They came for the socialists and I was silent because I was not a socialist. They came for the Jews and I was silent because I was not a Jew. Then they came for me and there was no one to speak for me. Because you see, today for me, tomorrow for you. And at this time, some of us might be in the way, and it is okay to look at us as hogs and insurgents, because what that does, when they dehumanize us, when they make us less than human, when they make us look like animals, when they make us like insurgents, people just want to rise up. It is okay in their minds to do us whatever they want, including shoot us down. And so they will wiretap, and they will do all sorts of things. But you know, like Claude McKay said, if we must die, let us not die like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot. But let us show us brave, and we are ready for anything. Because we are saying we have a cause, and it's a cause to die for. A young man a couple nights ago at the Fast to Fast, he said we are on a precipice. They wanted to hustle him up, but he was talking the truth. And we are indeed on a precipice. We could choose to go over, or we could choose to unite, bind one together, attach ourselves with cords of truth and honesty and transparency. and look to put in people who, we're not saying they're perfect. But we have no choice. What choice do we have? If we keep going down this road, we're going to go over the precipice. But we can bind one to another. And we can take our time and go down that mountain. Climb down gradually into the valley of restoration. Because it will come. And when we get there, just remember, we have to raise a standard. We have lowered our standards so low, so we must raise standards for ourselves. It doesn't matter whether we must be prepared to stand up for the truth, whatever it costs us, to stand up for justice and liberty and freedom for all peoples. Because injustice for one is injustice for all. We must be prepared to tell our children they can be whatever they want to be. They can be the best of what God wanted for them. They can achieve anything they put their heart to. But they must do it right. They must love justice and they must love mercy. We must be prepared to expect the best for our communities as we band one to another, helping each other, strengthening each other, because the road is going to be tough. They have emptied the treasury and they're emptying the SIDF. All for the purpose of staying there for their own selfish reasons. 70% of the population has said that Douglas must go. And yet he holds on to power. It means that he's saying that this land belongs to him. He is entitled to it. It doesn't matter what you want, it is mine. And I have allowed it to get there by lowering our standards. And every time we do something, and we look and we see all these children in schools, and we just say, it's working. Here work. And that's a lowered standard too, He said it's working. And in St. Paul's we say, here work. But it's not working. It is when we have lost our lands and the children have lost the inheritance, it is not working. When we are highest in the world in cancers, it's not working. When we are high sky in murders, it is not working. When they take our monies and give them to all sorts of private interests, it is not working. When they take money from our property, our passports, and put it into a private fund to use at their disposal, it is not working. And we are going to say to them, it is not working. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. And we are ready to do whatever it takes to ensure that this is the end. And women, we're not going to be afraid. We're going to band together. We're going to get ready. Because one day, we're going down 4th Street and we ain't crazy. Good night. Have a good night. I have to go. God bless you.